Hey!
Hi.
How are you? We miss you.
Oh my God, I missed you too.
Uh, Coffee dates. When are they gonna happen again?
Real life hanging out.
Yeah, well, whatever. We have a big yard, so we can just have coffee in the yard.
Yes,
I,
yes.
I had my nieces over for social distance yoga because the 5-year-old called me on the weekend, literally like bawling her eyes
It was
out.
brutal. It was a real scene.
It was a lot, being like, I miss Kiwi. And so I was like, maybe they could come over and we can like have yoga at a safe distance.
Oh, I know
Yeah,
it's hard.
it
It's so
is
hard.
hard. But yeah, what's been going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, like I was kind of telling you, I'm kind of getting used to the dynamics of country living.
Yeah.
So the other morning, like I had spent an all-nighter working on a project, and so I woke up at noon and I was still in my pajamas and hadn't showered in a couple days, so I was like really at my best, you know?
Yeah.
And my neighbor who
Sounds
I
like all of us.
so my neighbor, who's like an older woman who I've said hi to twice, just like came to my door with this huge box of bulbs and is like, I have some bulbs for you. And then she like proceeded to walk me through the field between our houses to show me like the trees that we have to cut down because they're black walnut and they're toxic, and showing me all the plants and being kind of like nice but also strict about the fact that I had to keep my yard really nice.
Yes. I feel like
And
we
coming
didn't mow for like till literally this week, and I think
us
that
too.
the neighbors had mowed like 4 or 5 times in the last little while, and I could tell like every time they would drive their truck by, I would like wave, and they would like hesitantly. They were like, "Oh, God, sure, we'll wave back at you." Like,
Yeah.
sorry.
Some adulting tasks
Yeah.
we're not very good at. Mowing the grass is definitely one of those. We're working towards trying to buy like a robot lawnmower to just do it for us.
That's the dream. Yeah, we bought our first lawnmower and we had like no idea. And then some of the spots we tried mowing were too long by the time we bought a lawnmower, so we had to like whippersnapper it, and we're just like, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, it is like a whole new world when you all of a sudden have a giant lawn. Like I grew up here, but I had like a normal sort of subdivision type lawn situation at my family home, and then to all
Hmm.
of a sudden have like an acre of like stuff that you have to be mowing all of the time and like
Yeah.
thinking about. Yeah, I mean I have a love-hate situation for it. Did you plant all your bulbs?
No.
Of
She
course
gave
not.
me like she gave me 2 weeks. She's like, you can bring the what's
Oh,
left over back in like 2 weeks. So I have a deadline.
okay. That's kind of intense.
That's so great.
I tried to like lighten the mood and make little jokes, but she was like very serious about it. So I'm like, all right, so I'm definitely gonna have to learn how to plant bulbs. Like she came over, she was really upset too that we didn't have like a shovel that you could plant bulbs with, so she gave me one. And
Oh, hey, that's a score.
yeah, so learning new skills after 20 years of living in the city, I'm like, all right,
Like
jumping
not
right in.
voluntarily learning new skills either. It's like being forced by your elderly neighbor.
Yeah, but I don't want to be kicked out of the community, you know.
I mean, bulbs are great. I feel like it is a bit of a score because they, they're beautiful. They'll turn into beautiful things.
Yeah.
I can help you if you know what they are. I can.
Well, that's the thing. She told me, but I was so overwhelmed by like the amount of information she was giving me that I don't remember. And then we got to a point in the conversation where I couldn't ask again because then it would have seemed like I wasn't listening.
Send
So,
pictures. I'll be able to tell you what some
okay.
of them will be, but not all of them. I mean, I'm also learning a lot, but and whatever. They might not live, and who cares? You can be like, I
Yeah.
planted them. I tried.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got an E for effort. Yeah. So yeah, we're super excited to have you. We want to give a little rundown of like what it is, just in case there's like people here that don't know what we're doing. So basically, at the onset of this kind of lockdown situation, it turned our life a bit topsy-turvy. As you know, most of what we do is like in person, very like low tech, hanging out and collaborating and supporting and being one-on-one with the people that are here with us and doing like workshops and that sort of thing. So
We don't do any of that anymore.
yes, that's all done. We actually officially canceled everything last week, which was pretty heartbreaking. We like sent out a video, and then after I just cried. So we were like, how can we continue to like support the people that have been here or that we've worked with or that we really like love what they're doing, and we want to make sure that they also have a reason to keep doing that and show some of the awesome work that we have here. And thanks, guys. And so yeah, we decided to start something that's like basically adult show and tell.
Yeah.
For artwork. And so we have 3 things. We haven't really been showing anything of what we're doing because we really want it to be about, you know, the work that we have from other people. But we really like it if, I think you said you have something of yours, which I'm excited about, because it's nice to also have the person that we're talking to talk a little bit about what they do and show, you know, whatever they're open to showing. Some people are showing studios, some people are showing works in progress, some people are showing things that are done. It's incredibly informal and just meant to be a nice kind of lighthearted hangout, chat, show and tell.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're happy that you were game for being a part of it. So it's totally up to you whether you want to go first or you want us to go first.
Perhaps we start with, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh yes, thank you, Kyle. I told you it's informal.
So, I'm an artist who's now based in Prince Edward County, like you guys. And I do work under the name Ambivalently Yours. And my work is mostly drawing, animation, and very much like involved in the internet. So a lot of my inspiration and content, I guess, comes from interactions I have online. Yeah, it's kind of it in a nutshell.
So I know that like sometimes you'll reach out with sort of like a query and then people can send you responses to that, and then you make work that either directly uses quotes from those responses or reflects on them in some manner. Is that fair?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I guess like my overall thing is that I like to try to illustrate like emotions that are hard to describe or that don't have proper words for them. And I do so by kind of like, yeah, like sometimes I put out prompts like, how are you feeling? And then I'll draw a few of the responses. And then, yeah, and I'm really interested in ideas of like ambivalence, and which is like having 2 conflicting emotions at the same time. So I like sort of talking with people about emotions and trying to draw them and try to think about them in more sort of complicated ways than how we kind of grow up thinking about them.
I love that. I like the most recent post you put up as well that was like about menstruation. I'll use that word.
Yeah. Yeah, that was commissioned by Plan International to do like a little sort of comic for Menstrual Hygiene Day. And I didn't want it to be too, I don't know, I feel like period art is tricky. And it's not really my thing. So I tried to focus.
But you did it so well.
Thanks. Yeah, I tried to focus more around like the feelings that come along with like being a person who has a period, and sort of like, yeah, the things that people project on you when you get your period and the shame that goes along with it. And yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really wonderful. So
Thanks.
I think you nailed it.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Show and tell time.
So why don't we start with the show and tell, and then
Okay,
you
that's
can
good.
follow up behind us.
Cool.
Headphones. Okay. I'll hold it. You talk, Kyle. All right. So full disclosure, this was stored in a drawer that I'm sorry, Rob. Did get a mouse got in the drawer and it ate this little bit of the print, which is like just pretty much devastating.
Welcome to country living.
Yeah.
You may or may not know that.
But it's
mice
not
live.
a rat, so with
Yeah.
So this is a print. I'm gonna let Rob say Rob's last name. Did I just call you Rob?
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
I did. Cool.
Rob
I am
Truszkowski.
nailing it today.
Rob is the master printer at the University of Regina. Rob studied at Queen's University, and subsequently that's how we know about Rob, because Rob studied under Otis, and we also studied under Otis. And yeah, this artwork came to us.
No, I decided to become a treasurer of an artist run center in my 3rd year of being a student at Queen's. Did not understand what that role was actually going to entail, and part of it was working on a fundraiser that basically would fund a huge component of their operating budget. And so I had to, solicit a bunch of artists to give me artwork that I could then have in an auction.
Yeah, it was a pretty big auction.
Yeah, I think that I raised $20,000 this auction, which was exciting for a student. But this was the one that I won because I wanted it so bad as soon as I saw it.
The thing that I remember, this is very early on in Chrissy and I's relationship. The thing that I remember, though, there was an art history teacher. She was relatively new in teaching contemporary art history, and she also wanted it, and I remember her being very upset that she did not get this print in the auction, and you did.
I was thrilled.
Art drama.
Art drama, right?
Yeah. So what's really cool about this particular print, and Rob does this a lot, is there's a ton of hidden information.
Orange mark.
There's orange up here and here, and then there's there's a bunch of hidden little bits. It's a screen print, and so my work, I look at a lot of kind of gross marks in public spaces because I'm a germaphobe, and so if I'm in a public washroom and there's a scuff mark or a weird scratch on a door, I get really obsessed and sort of grossed out by things like that. So I started incorporating those kinds of marks into my work, and then when I saw this, I just felt like Rob sort of does it in an even better way and takes it to this other level that I wish that I could do. And so there's, in behind here, there's scratches and scuffs and splatters, and then it's hidden under what looks, could be a drywall mud scrape of white. There's a lot of depth, but it's also very subtle and open and airy. And beautifully screen printed.
Yeah. In real life, it looks like a crazy dirty surface. This print's just been mishandled, but it's all intentional.
Yeah.
I love that because every time I do printing, the thing I find the most difficult is to keep a white piece of paper clean. So I love that this is intentionally not doing that.
Yeah.
It's built right in.
But it says something about this nature of having artwork being pristine and perfect and white, and to go complete opposite direction is kind of interesting.
I think so too. And I think that there's something about especially an artist's work surface, for us, I feel we are always painting walls and thinking about replacing tables because it gets messed up so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But then oftentimes I'm looking at those surfaces and I love them. I love all of the little drips and blobs and, I don't know, memories of who was there and the materials they worked in and the colors and, yeah. I don't know. It's a little archive.
Mm-hmm. And it feels more tactile, a person was there, interacting with something.
Exactly.
As opposed to a machine or...
Yeah, or some just sterile. I feel that could be suffocating too. If I walked into a studio space and it was all just perfectly clean and pristine, and they were do whatever you want. I don't know how to do anything in here.
Yeah.
So chaotic beauty, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's our first share. A beautiful screen print filled with dirty mark making.
I love it. Is it my turn now?
It's your turn now.
Okay, I'm gonna flip. Okay, so this is my most prized art possession that I have. It's a drawing by I came prepared. By this artist. Lora
Nice.
Barkley. She full disclosure, is one of my best friends. We met in art school when we went to the Vermont College of Fine Arts to do our master's. And she, I think, is like the biggest art influence I've had in my life. When we met, like the first thing she said to me was like, "Oh, I can help you carry your paintings." So it was like a very cute, like, friend meeting. But she was like, I didn't have a lot of art friends growing up. I was kind of like the token artsy one of my group of friends for most of my teenage and early adult life. And so she was the first person I met in real life who like kind of drew girls like me and was very invested in that. And I had a hard time in grad school because a lot of the faculty didn't really get what I was doing, and they thought it was not arty enough, I guess. Right. And I was really, really insecure. So it took me a while before I could like articulate why it was real art. So for me, like having like a friend, like seeing someone else doing something similar who like got my work and I got her work, like that was really powerful. So she does these like really great drawings, and like it's like basically like color pencil and pen. She also like has these are kind of like her signature flowers that she does. And it's all very kind of like markers and pens, and I have this other one. Sorry, I'm showing 3, but
no, that's fine.
And this kind of thing, which is like markers and pen, and I don't know, there's something really about it that, and a lot of times like people will come to my house and be like, "Oh, I love that one of your work," and I'm like, "Oh." And there's like my work all around, and then the one they focus on is this one, and then they feel like really embarrassed that they chose the one that wasn't mine. But
I mean, I guess the pink and the like sort of carefree like body language, but I mean this doesn't really look like your work.
No, I mean people who like
definitely
really
distinctly
know
someone else's,
yeah, like our line works are different and the aesthetic is different, but I think like the passion is the same. But I mean, I've had that a lot, like with Jen Darling, who you met, who was at the residency at the same time as me, who I do a lot of, she does Love Struck prints, and I do a lot of like markets with her, and people like cannot tell our art apart because they see it. I think they see like the pinks and the purples or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, this must all be one artist." Like when we're cabling, people just like stop at the color palette, and then they're like, "Cool, it must be just one artist." So it's really interesting, like when people can't tell it apart. But anyway, I feel like like Lora, she really, in a sense, like by doing her work, like gave me permission to do my work too, and
that's so awesome.
And I think like that's really hard sometimes as an artist, is like you feel sometimes a bit isolated, and it's nice to see yourself reflected in someone else, I think.
Oh, 100%. I think that's so great. Yeah, I think that everybody needs that sort of comrade or, somebody that they can look to for that support when you're like, am I nuts? Is this a terrible decision? They're like, no, keep going with it. You're doing great. I like the movement in this piece and the sort of like,
the hand swoosh is the best part of that.
It is. Yes. That gesture is great. I feel like that was me in the kitchen just like an hour ago. I was dancing around. Kyle made me breakfast.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But she's very like that as a person too. Like, I feel like this drawing very like represents her personality. So having it in my home to me is like having her. She lives in Texas, so we don't really see each other IRL very often. So at least we have art. We have each other's art in our homes, which is like second best thing.
It is. I agree. Awesome. I love it. I really do like those flowers a lot too.
Yeah, they're really cute.
They're great. They're super great.
Here's the plug.
We'll also like post to the stories after, so that
people can link back.
People can check it out.
Yes.
Yeah. We bought a print recently because of someone's share. Okay, so the next one we also have a 2-up for the next one because it's a bit clumsy. Okay, we almost broke it. So, woo! Ugh. So we had Jennie Suddick with us a few weeks back, and now we want to show one of the pieces that we have of her works. So, I think this was the first time she stayed with us, and the piece that she worked on. So Jennie does work that's like about place and about how place can impact your memory and your life and your identity and your community. So that's kind of her primary, I guess, like concept draw. So this, it's hard to see here, and I probably won't be able to pick it up on the camera, but maybe, is a screen print of all the campsites at Sandbanks. And so it's like white on white, of course, like impossible to read on the camera, but you'll have to trust me that like on this white piece of paper. Oh, look, you can kind of see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has like little icons like clothes hangers, like bathrooms, the campground numbers written on it, and like the paths and bicycles, water, that kind of iconology. So she used to go to the Sandbanks all the time and with her family, so she has like a real personal sort of connection to it as a location. And so she called this project called Site Maps. So it's all printed and then hand cut out, because this is like such a Jennie thing to do, to sit and like laborious cutting out all these little things. She has this Cricut now, or whatever they're called, that does more cutting for her, so she doesn't have to do it all by hand anymore. And then she made it into these photographs. So she printed a lot more of them. That was just like one little one that we had. So then she did these like photo shoots with them, essentially, where they're kind of piled on top of each other, and you know, the structure of the map itself is no longer there, but all the little icons are all present, and you can see, you know, the site map a little bit more clearly in these photographs. But yeah, it's like all of the intention of it being a functional map is completely lost, and it's just these like kind of chaotic piles of information that are all tangled together and piling up. And it just, like, as a visual, I really like love it.
I love it.
Yeah, I feel like Jennie does, she creates these projects that are often like initially simplistic in their design. So going onto the Sandbanks website and getting the map and then sort of like redrafting portions of it so that it could be a screen print. And then she like complicates it
by saying, I want 1,000 of these, and I want to cut them out and then install them in a room.
Yeah. So
I love working with Jen.
I know, I do too. She's so much fun. But this piece was just like kind of this extension of camping sort of history that then, you know, I think a lot of her new work just expands on that concept even further, and really dives even deeper into her heritage and her ancestry. And I mean, she's looking a lot at like her Maltese ancestry now in her present work. I think that she has a really interesting way of like looking at the world and looking at place. And yeah, I just like celebrating her a lot. So, yeah.
I love these like kind of laborious tasks we'll give ourselves as artists.
Why do we do that?
I think like there's something about taking, like allotting time to things to make them more important, I think, that kind of plays into that. But yeah, I think when you try to explain it to other people, it sounds like kind of nuts, but like
I feel like sometimes I'll say yes to things and I assume that I understand the commitment that I'm getting myself into. Like when we made the first little art maze for the Lantern Festival, and I was like, we can just make a room, like one section full of those like poofs, because they're so magical feeling, and they're like, I love the idea of kind of taking sort of a wedding decoration but then making so much of it that it doesn't make sense anymore, and this sort of changes the reading of it, I guess. But then it turns out those like tissue paper poofs take a seriously long time to create, like way longer than Pinterest led me to believe.
Pinterest always leads us astray.
I know. But anyways, we have like Jennie right now just moved all of her stuff out of her studio into storage, and half of the storage is boxes of poops. Love you, Jennie. Sorry. But yeah, that's our share, our second share. This is
Love
beautiful site map by Jennie.
Okay, I'm gonna put my other one up. Okay. So my other thing here is this crazy sparkly collage by a New York artist named Damali Abrams. Oops.
Oh,
I post it. So she, born and raised in New York from Guyanese parents, and her work, so she does a lot of different things, but her work is always kind of focuses about healing. So she does a lot of these collages. She has like a mermaid series that is really cool that takes like kind of pop culture figures and then puts them into these crazy collages. And she uses a lot of like kind of girl culture, like glitter, sparkle, whatever. I also have from her, like, this is like a chapbook that she did. This is her, I think years ago. And inside she has like poems, and then she has like poetic recipes for things.
Oh, hey, that's cool.
I like how we're on the theme of menstruation.
Yeah, it's a menstruation kind of day, I guess. And she also like, she sent me this a while ago. It's like a Moody Mermaid bliss oil, and has like a little stone in it and essential oils. And she once gave me this little crystal that I don't know what it is or what it does, but it's supposed to like cleanse your aura and help you tap into your like goddess self. So here I will like cleanse us right now. And she, I was just thinking a lot about her work because of everything that's going on, and the idea of healing through art and through different means. I felt like was very like topical right now.
Yes.
She also does these like Reiki videos that you can just like put on in the background and are supposed to be like healing. Like, I don't really know much about it, but it's stuff that she like researches, and I just love her mix of like kind of like intense girl culture, like this glittery paper and everything, and like collaging is like such like a childhood kind of thing, and mixing it with like healing and like alternative ways to healing. And I think for her, like with her cultural background too, like there are all kinds of different things about healing that are not like what we traditionally in like modern medicine, I guess. And this piece she made when we did like we did an installation series with another artist called named Clea Feline, who's another American artist, where we went to a few different spaces and we turned them into friendship forts. And we called it, oh my God, I'm like blanking out what we called it. Friendship is Magic, it was called, the series. And basically we built these forts and we filled them up with like glittery collages and drawings, and they were made, like they were lined with sheets, and then there was like a spot inside where people could come and like make collages or color or draw. And it was all about like creating these sort of spaces where you could like go to your more vulnerable childlike side and kind of like dive into that. And it was just really fun being in the space, but also like seeing how people kind of let go a little bit or felt really uncomfortable. One of the places we did it, it was during this like big art festival, and it was like in this building in Minneapolis where there was like, everyone was opening up their studios. And so most people were showing like more traditional art, and we just built this crazy friendship fort. And like some like, you know, like the rich white ladies would come in and just be like really unsure what was happening. Or like their sons would come in and be like, cool. And they'd be like, no, this is for girls. And like, no, everyone is welcome.
We did a project like that with Jennie where we just brought a bunch of blankets to, we did it twice with her and her creative partner, Sarah Udo, for Crazy Dames. And we let people build forts with us. And one was at the Drake, Devonshire, one was at Queen's on campus. And at the Drake, it sort of ended up becoming like sort of two camps. So a bunch of people made a big giant fort together, and then this other smaller group that all came together as like a unit, they just took a bunch of materials and built their own fort far away and like didn't actually like collaborate with the building, which was very fascinating to watch. Sarah's a city planner, so she is more looking at like how do people react to space, what's their relationship with something that they have in a public space that they don't own but they feel like they are part owner of it. And at Queen's, it was like a huge collaboration. Lots of people came. We did it during homecoming. And then halfway through us kind of sitting down and having a break and chatting inside the fort with everyone, a bunch of students who were quite drunk came into the fort. And the people that built the fort were furious that we were like letting them hang out in the fort, even though they were hammered. And we were like, well, nobody owns this fort. We just built it in a public environment, so why can't they be here? And it was an interesting conversation of like, yeah, like how protective or what the idea of these spaces become when all of a sudden you let anybody into them. Yeah, people do have strange reactions to forts.
Yeah.
But as soon as you showed this, I was like, I want a room where I'm just surrounded by this glittery collage stuff. So
it was really fun to make and then to be in and to see. Like, kids were always the best. They would just come right in, and boys, girls, like they didn't really see the difference, and they were just like, cool, we can do arts and crafts. And they'd sit down and not even like ask, they'd just know. They'd see like the table with glue sticks and scissors and stuff, and they'd be like, oh, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do here. And then the parents would be all uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But then you have some people that would just come in and would participate. And we did like another version of it at an art school in Sonoma, and it was all like university students, and they got it and they were into it. And I think for them it was like a nice break from like the stress of being in art school and having to produce like high art, I guess, and to just be able to come and like color, I think is like a really fun
it's kind of freeing. That's awesome. Someone was asking what we're talking about. We're doing a show and tell of artwork from our collection, our collections, and just talking about work that's either ours or that we own by other people that we want to share and support and have a little chat about. So yeah. Sweet. Yeah,
great.
This list definitely makes me like feel like a teen again. I mean, I didn't have glitter as a teenager. Like wasn't much of a glitter girl.
Glitter.
No, it's true. My dad would have been.
Was it your medium?
Glitter. It wasn't my medium, but I definitely made like walls of collages in my bedroom. Of course, I think that it's so important for that to happen.
Yeah, collage is very freeing as a young person.
Yes. It's just like such a great way to talk about things that you're interested in and see them all in one space, and I don't know. All right. So we have again two, oh man, glare. Sorry, we just framed these. I say that like we took them somewhere. They're IKEA frames.
Yeah. Mine, as are mine.
So we don't actually know this artist, but these were printed by a friend of ours, Landon Perkins, and the artist's name is Lora Fosberg, or I hope that I'm saying that correctly. And they're screen prints. Lord only knows how many layers. I've never counted.
Oh, they're like, Landon told me, it's like 16 layers of screen printing. It is so many colors for a print. So like every single color in this print is a different pull. So if you want to count all the colors, you can, but there's a lot of them.
I don't really know anything about this particular artist, so I can't speak to like their work on a larger level or what this series is about for them, but I can say that for me, I just think not only are they beautifully printed and the color choice is something that I like desire. I think that I have a tendency to want to go really like bright and poppy and in your face colors, and I'm always really drawn to a more muted color palette. But also just this like intersection of land mass, and then you can't read them because everything's backwards, but there's these little like bits
More,
of
less,
text.
even more.
And then this one says all of it in this little kind of pointing at this crevasse here.
Let's try not to get reflections of everything in my room.
But yeah, I know. I was like, should I show the behind the scenes of like what our desk actually looks like, which is chaos piles, mostly
There's
on
less
my
dishes
side.
than there normally is.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I just think that these prints are really beautiful and like simple, but also complicated. And I really should have looked into like what the story is behind these, but you know, as we're sort of entering an even more like aware time period of global warming and our effects on the climate and the importance of like taking care of this place that we live, I think that I'm becoming more and more drawn to artwork that's like about land and about place and yeah. So I don't know if that's what this is about in any way, but for me, that's what I'm projecting onto it, which you know, as an artist, you have to be prepared for that people are going to look at your work and project whatever garbage they're carrying around with them onto what you make. So.
Oh yes, I get a lot of different interpretations on things, and it gives me anxiety. Or people are like, yeah, but what if I feel like this about something? And I'm like, you can. I can't like. I'm not going to dictate how you react, but yeah, people are going to see what they see.
Exactly. But I mean, the joys of being like a primarily abstract painter is that either I just get like, I don't get it, this seems easy, why do you bother, or people are just like, wow, the colors are really nice, and
My kid could make that. No other kid couldn't make that.
Oh, I hate
also
when people
if
say
they
that.
can, like, bravo, kid. You're doing awesome. And also, why do we just think kids are so dumb? I think that, like, if your kid is making something like that, celebrate that situation. I don't know. I think it's such a weird comment. Kids can do lots of cool stuff.
My almost 4-year-old nephew did these, like, really great abstract pieces for me. They were commissioned. And he's like, here, they're pink because that's your favorite color. And his mom was, like, really embarrassed because they were all, like, you know, like, scribbly and stuff. But the composition and the colors is really good. So I framed them. I was very excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. I like some of the stuff that our nieces have made us. I'm like, these are spot on. Like, I have so much restraint and fear when I go to, like, make a mark that you as a 5-year-old just do not have because you haven't been told that mark isn't worthy. And so you just make the mark that feels right. And, you know, I wish I could model some of the marks that my nieces make in my own work. That would be fantastic. But yeah, these are very much so not a child can make. And they make me think of you a little bit, Kyle. Like, the structure of it, the line work.
I love a good cross-section. It's like I'm a big sucker for that.
Yeah, it reminded me of your work too, and there's almost like also the same kind of like detail obsessiveness that I feel that you have in your work too. And I say that like as a compliment.
I hear that as a compliment. These are some of my favorite prints in our house right now. Like I'm absolutely in love with them. They just resonate really well. Like they're really technically great. They're really strong, like compositionally, and the colors are just fantastic.
They also make me think of sandwiches too, which I like.
A little bit, right? Like if there was like a toothpick, like with an olive stuff on it, like.
Maybe that's because like all I've been doing during quarantine is eating nonstop. It's like my biggest only joy. So maybe everything looks like food to me now.
Yeah. I feel like I have been trying to be more experimental with food making so that it's not monotonous and yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty good.
we have been. I mean, I guess when you're here all the time and you can't really go out to eat as much, it does make the kitchen more of a space that you have to hang out in.
Yes, yes
Yeah.
it is.
But I like food and I like making food.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, you're not scared of it.
no,
I
I'm
am.
not.
I'm not a very good cook. I could be better.
You're doing great.
I got lunch.
This is the time to learn.
Exactly. So yeah, Lora Fosberg. That's our last share.
Great. So I guess I'll share my work now. I saw someone ask like why my face was half. I don't really show my face online. It started like a while, like years ago when I started working as Ambivalently Yours, and I was doing very kind of like overtly feminist stuff, and I was very afraid of trolls, and I just decided to be kind of anonymous, and I've sort of just like stuck with it, which is sometimes complicated. Actually, when I was trying to figure out this Instagram live, I like mistakenly filmed my face live, and my brother instantly texted me and was like, I saw your face on Instagram live, because he likes making fun of me about this whole thing.
Great family support.
Oh yeah. So anyway, so that's why. But so these pieces actually I worked on them when I was doing your residency, and it's for a show. So I did a residency at Sparkbox last July, August.
Yeah.
For a show that's coming up this August, which is apparently still happening in yeah, it's in Golden, Colorado. I'm not going to go as I had planned, but apparently the show is still happening. And so I worked on the work a lot while I was at Sparkbox and then put it away and have not worked on it since. And now I have like a month to finish, which is, you know, I don't think it's good for me to have like 2 years to work on the show because I'm going to work on it the month before, you know?
You did a lot while you were here, though.
It's true.
It's true. All that time.
So one of the things I did while I was at Sparkbox is that I sent out one of those prompts where I asked people, like, what are two, like, sort of like opposite emotions that you often feel at the same time? And so I'm doing a series of drawings with some of the responses. So, and how it's going to be set up is that the whole piece is going to be on one wall, and half the wall will be red and half the wall will be pink. And every piece will be like duplicated and like a mirror image of itself, which is like the same piece except the words will be sort of different. So I have like, and I'm trying to kind of play a bit like different with, I'm trying to loosen up to my drawings to have like different styles. So this is more like a painterly one. Here's like another response one. Yeah, so I just
relate to this on a daily basis, this one, especially.
Yeah, I think this one is like very much like emblematic of the entire piece. So there's going to be lots of drawings, and then I have some like bigger sort of painting drawings, and then I have like a little animation that is going to sort of, that has like some pink fingers and red fingers that sort of go back and forth between each other. So the animation is going to be projected in the middle, and then all the drawings will be sort of everywhere. And basically I just want to highlight like all these mixed feelings we have, and how by separating them, they don't make as much sense as if they're still together. And so that's sort of what the piece is going to be about. And the entire show, I think there's like 3 other artists in the show. It's called like False Choice. So the entire show is about ambivalence and mixed feelings. I think they were wanting to put this show like right before the American election, which I feel is going to be a lot more intense now with like everything going on in the US. So yeah, so I have no idea how it's going to all come together. It stresses me out a bit that I won't be there to be able to set it up. But
yeah, how are you doing that? Are you sending them like a mock-up of how you want everything to be
Yeah,
installed?
I think I'm just going to do a mock-up and try to do it like approximately to scale. It's just hard for me because I usually like don't plan anything and just get to the gallery and set it up as I go, and then midway through have like a panic attack where I feel like a fraud, and then recover from the panic attack and then finish. So that's my
how
process.
all installations go.
So it'll be hard to not have that process, but you know, just go with the flow, I guess.
So you're just gonna package everything and ship it all.
And hope for the best. And I want them to be like unframed. I think this is something that the curator was a bit worried about, that they're not going to be framed, but I kind of want them to be more sort of like drawings on just pinned to the wall or like taped to the wall, or I don't know how they're going to, like using magnets or something. I want it to be very, not too like high art gallery, but more like I kind of like just like putting lots of stuff on the wall and making it seem more like teenage girl bedroom, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also like is in line with some of your past installations. So if they looked at those, then it would make sense that, you know, it has that feeling to it.
Yeah.
Plus, I think the rawness of the installation then gestures back to the rawness of the feelings.
Yeah, because I don't want to, like, in a sense, like, overwork the feelings or, like, over-stylize them. I want them to be kind of raw. And it's, like, the difference between, like, I mostly show my work online. And when I do that, like, I scan it and then I fix everything with Photoshop. And it's, like, it goes back to, like, that first art piece you showed where, like, inevitably, like, you would lose some of those marks because, like, I can't help myself from, like, cleaning up the little... And I've noticed that, like, sometimes I go too far and you lose like some of that gesture and some of that like human, the marks, the crumples, so when I do like real life shows, I like to just like let it go and let it be what it is and not try to make it be perfect in a sense.
No, I agree with that. But I like love that stuff. Like I love
me too.
The openness and having, I don't know, just like really feeling whatever the artist was feeling while they were making something is so important to me. And I don't know, it just feels very valuable. I've been making things in Procreate and then trying to like make them into actual paintings in the studio, which has been sort of a hilarious experiment. Because guess what? When you pick like old Procreate oil brush that's dried up or whatever option they gives you, and then you actually pick up an old crusted dry oil painting brush, it's not the same. So it's been fun trying to like make like a human real version of a painting that I did.
Digital brushes.
Digital drawing.
I have often people being like, what like Photoshop brush did you use to like do that watercolor effect? I'm like, no, it's just watercolor that I scanned. Yeah.
I liked watching you work though, because it was so fun to see like just a whole bunch of tests, like the amount of like trial that you put through things before you're like, okay, this is the way that it's going to work. And then I think that like you do sort of get this impression of what a person is going to be like when you see them online, and then to see like the pressure that you put on yourself about the drawings and how they look and all the consideration. Not that I don't think that you're considerate by your online presence, but I guess like it feels like, oh man, she's just a natural and look how easily this all comes to her, and she's just like, you know, that she could do this in her sleep. But you know, there's just so much, and you second guess yourself as much as everyone else. And I think that seems obvious when I say it out loud, but it was also so comforting.
No, I mean, I make so much bad art just to get like a few like nice pieces. And when I
think even your stuff that you deemed bad was absolutely beautiful. But yes, I agree. I understand.
But you know what? Yeah, like, and when I was like looking through my stuff, like to bring on this Instagram live, I was like, I remember having like way more art, but then I just like I had a lot more like bad art stuff that I just like put away. I have like under this bed, I have like just like
the under the bed storage,
like the crates and crates of drawings that like I would never want to look at again. So
But then
yeah.
one day when somebody does look at them, they're going to be like, this is so awesome. Why was this stored in a tote?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very, like, have a hard time, like, getting rid of drawings, too. Like, I have a really hard time, like, thankfully they're not very big, so I just, I keep, like, plastic bins of drawings in my house forever, and my partner has no say in it. It's just my thing.
How many pieces are going to be in this show? Do you know
I'm not
that
sure
yet.
I'm hoping a lot more than what I have. So I have, like I said, like a month, but I'll get there. I'm hoping there'll be a lot, enough to like cover the walls, but I don't know yet. It'll be a surprise for everyone, including me.
Awesome. Well, it's looking good so far, and I know what is also part of it, and I like the animation is really great too, and the 2 big pieces. So I'm glad that it's still happening.
Yeah, me too.
I don't completely understand how they're going to do that, but
yeah, I don't know. I feel like some places are very eager to reopen, but whatever. But I'm obviously not going to be going. I don't really want to be going to the US right now anyway.
No.
I feel really bad for everyone there that their leadership is having some issues. But anyway.
Yeah. like, oh, not gonna go down that path. Yeah. Well, I guess that concludes our show and tell. And
thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thanks so much for participating. We're like thrilled that you could join us, and we're like loving this little weekly
show and tell.
Yeah, hang out with people that are doing awesome work, and also have awesome work in their house. Like, we're so lucky to be surrounded by beautiful things.
Yeah, no, it's the best thing of being an artist is that you get like such a good art collection from like trading and knowing artists and getting discounts on art.
yeah, exactly. Printmaker trade world is like probably our like favorite thing. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Well, have a lovely weekend.
Yeah.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Chatting with you again.
Yes, I miss you guys.
Miss you too. Bye. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us, and also have a great weekend. And